Hello and good morning, and welcome again to another episode of Tobago Sport in Focus. Today we're at Jubilee Park in Scarborough, and we are looking at archery. That's right, we said it, archery. We have archery in Tobago. So in a few minutes, we're going to have an interview with one of the coaches, Mr. Welch, and he'll tell us a little bit more about archery. Stay tuned, more to come.
Join us this and every Friday on Tobago Sports Live Facebook page for the TSL Weekly Roundup, where hosts Kami and interview persons in the sporting arena right here in Tobago, bringing live updates to you on sporting events on the island and interacting with the public. Remember, this and every Friday, live on Tobago Sports Live at 8 p.m. Tobago Sports Live, evolving sports in Tobago.
Hi, good morning. My name is Coach Welch of the Tobago Precision Archery Club, and we practice target archery at the club. Right now we have some archers practicing behind us, and we invite you all today to join us as we give you a little introduction to the sport and tell you what target archery is all about. Right. So as we know, archery is an Olympic sport. We normally have two seasons of the sport, what we call an indoor and an outdoor season. For the indoor season, we shoot the distance you're currently seeing, which is 18 meters. And for outdoor, we shoot, the compound archers will normally shoot 50 meters with recurve persons shooting 70. So that goes into the other part of it, where we have two different types of bows, which is compound and recurve. And I'll give you some more information about that as we go into the lesson today. Right, so what I have in my hand right now is a compound bow for target archery. The compound bow is a bit different to recurve, which I'll demonstrate in a little while, in that it utilizes pulleys and lever system to reduce the load on the archer's fingers when training. So normally a bow would have a set poundage that you will have to hold when you're drawing it. With the compound, there is something called the let off, which allows you to hold a percentage of the weight. So maybe this bow would be about 50 pounds. You'll only be holding an actuality of about 10 pounds on your fingers when it's at full length, full draw. All right. Thank you so much. Right, for the purposes of COVID-19 and during this period that we know everyone is having the difficulty and the need to observe social distancing, what the club has done is reduce our training sessions to a maximum of 6 to 7 archers and coaches at a time. So we have like session A, B, and C in the mornings. So that will allow our archers to be able to train while maintaining social distancing and safety throughout the exercises. Right, so I would like to introduce you all one of our archers. This is Caitlin. So this morning, Caitlin will be demonstrating to us what we'll normally do in an intro class for a beginner archer with the recurve bow. We always start training with recurve. Right, so we just want to go through the parts of the bow, which is one of the first things that we will educate the archer about. So the parts of the bow, as you can see here, this one is a recurve bow. The parts of the bow would be the riser, which is the main component of the bow. You have your upper and your lower limbs. This is a stabilizer on the bow. The sight, and obviously the bowstring. And Caitlin will have her arrows on her hip holster. Right, so we're just going to demonstrate some of the safety features of the sport. You'll realize throughout the morning we have not been saying that you're clear to loose or clear to start. What we utilize is whistle commands, so everyone can hear it and it can be easily interpreted. Whistle commands are: 1 blast of the whistle means that you are clear to shoot. 2 blasts of the whistle means that you are clear to leave the waiting line and proceed to the shooting line. And 3 blasts of the whistle means that you have to stop shooting and you're clear to retrieve your arrows. In the event that we had an emergency or unusual situation, what would happen is that we will sound the whistle at least 5 times, and that will instruct you to stop shooting immediately and listen into your coach or the person in charge of the field at that time for further instructions. So one of the things I would have spoken about would have been the 3 lines, where we have an equipment line, which is not clearly shown, but if you look, you realize all the equipment is laid out in one line on the field. If you observe the cones in front of them, there is a waiting line, and the one that you can clearly see is the shooting line. So those are the 3 lines that we observe on the field for safety, and the same type of setup used for Olympic archery. So when the archers are finished retrieving their arrows, we'll have Caitlin go to the waiting line and we'll begin an intro lesson for the public to see how we do archery in here at the Tobago Precision Archery Club. Right, so we start from the waiting line. 2 whistles mean that you're clear to go to the shooting line and prepare to shoot. So you realize the first thing that Caitlin would have done when she came to the line is assume a stance. So we utilize a square stance for all beginners. The stance is the foundational movement of shooting archery. So it's, yeah, you got the single whistle, go ahead. The stance is the foundational movement of archery. So once you have a solid stance, you have the foundation to execute your shot well. Then we move into the second part of the movement, which is knocking the arrow. And then we go to what we call the set position. Right, so now Caitlin is going to proceed to draw, aim, and release her arrow. Excellent. So after each shot, the archer would evaluate what the shot would have been and try to make any corrections if needed by either adjusting the sight or by aiming off. In this case, we're just going to try and do our next shot by slightly aiming off. So we start with the stance as usual. You knock. Right, set, pre-draw, full draw. Remember to rotate the elbow. Excellent. Nice. So at this time what we are shooting is what we call 3 arrow ends, meaning before retrieving each time, the archer would shoot 3 arrows. Then we'll stop all shooting, we'll blow the whistle 3 times, and allow them to go to retrieve their shots. Good job. You could follow her up. Right, so for the sake of safety, before retrieving arrows, normally we'll be on a crowded field, but obviously with COVID-19, we have a lot less people training at a time. You will always make sure to clear the area behind you before retrieving. And Caitlin, you can demonstrate the correct way to retrieve, placing your hand flat on the target. Excellent, and she's using an arrow puller to make it easier to remove the arrows from the target face. So once you've retrieved, we return back to the waiting line and we get ready for the next end of shooting. Alright, so you can observe again for the steps that I would have just gone through to see if Caitlin are doing them correctly. One of the main focuses of an initial archery class or a beginner's archery course with the Tobago Precision Archery Club is to ensure that the archer is safe. So we've actually focused on the safety features of the sport, meaning to say that they observe when to be on the waiting line, when to go to the shooting line, and observe to make sure the archer is listening to the whistle commands before executing any movements. And so those sort of stuff, those are the foundational things that we will teach you. The goal of it is to ensure that you're a safe archer regardless of the circumstance. You can go in any situation, any circumstance, and be able to shoot safely among your peers. you'll adjust your sight, send it up about half a click. Right? Nice.
Good morning and welcome back. With me, we have Mr. Patrick Welch,
Hi, good morning.
director. Should I call you director?
You could call me coach, that's fine.
Coach of the Archery Club in here in Tobago. Good morning, Mr. Welch.
Good morning, sir.
And welcome to Tobago Sport in Focus.
All right, thank you for having us. The Tobago Precision Archery Club is very appreciative of the opportunity to showcase our sports and to divulge what I would say is one of the best kept secrets in Tobago.
Well, it has to be one of the best kept secrets. I mean, I've seen you all at the sport camps for the Division of Sport and Interface.
Yes.
And I actually did a little bit of archery myself, I guess. And
okay, excellent.
I know it. I realize it's actually very, very difficult, but it's an incredible skill to have.
Yes, yes, it is.
How long have the Precision Archery Club has been in action in Tobago?
So this club has been in Tobago we are heading for the 6th year of operations in Tobago. It's something that we are very proud. We were able to establish it where a group of young Tobago people came together. We got some assistance from the National Federation, so we recognized member of the National Trinidad and Tobago Target Archery Federation.
Okay,
and we actually host several trained national coaches at level 1, level 2, level 3. And we also now in Tobago have 4 national judges, meaning that for events and so on, we not only have our judges going to Trinidad to officiate, but when we have an event in Tobago, we have the manpower to execute those events in a self-contained manner. In talking about COVID now, you know, we can't have the mixing and so on. So at this time, what we have, we're not able to have our normal practice and competition. So what has been happening, there is an international by World Archery America's international indoor tournament. And this indoor tournament is shot on location at your field, using the rules that they set forward to you. And we are lucky to be able to execute those tournaments here at home without needing to travel or even go to Trinidad to be official in terms of competing.
Well, that actually was going to lead into the next question in terms of the COVID pandemic. What you all have been doing in order to make sure or to ensure that all safety protocols are observed. Now, even without the safety protocols, I know in archery there are quite a few other safety issues that you would have to come up with in terms of the archers, making sure no one's behind the target and other stuff like that. What other things are actually in place well before COVID to ensure the safety of the athletes?
Right, so before we even get to COVID, archery is statistically one of the safest sport. No, actually it is the safest shooting sport in the world. The reason for that being that we have very rigid, I would say, rules that we will follow and utilize to ensure the safety of the sport. One of them is, well, as you can see, we use whistle commands on the field, so you don't have to listen for my voice or order from me. Each whistle or amount of whistle blast carries a different meaning. Like the one I just blew means that they can leave the waiting line and proceed to the shooting line and wait to shoot. If you observe the archers, no one will attempt to actually fire off an arrow until they hear the single blast of the whistle, at which point they're clear to commence shooting. In this case, my responsibility would be to observe the area behind, which you realize is a 50-meter area exclusion zone, where we have as a safety gap. So anyone that's to enter that area, what you would hear is 5 blasts of the whistle instructing the archers to stop immediately and look into me for further instructions. Right, so those are some of the first things that we will take as safety precautions. All the archers know, upon finishing shooting your end, you will now step off the line. They will not try and say, oh, let me go get my arrows while coach doing something else. So if I was to be distracted for 5 minutes, they would unfortunately wait 5 minutes to go retrieve the arrows to maintain the safety of the sport. So that's one of the first steps that we have in terms of safety. In terms of the actual equipment, we only use approved equipment that, when I say approved, equipment that is approved by World Archery or one of the official suppliers. So you can't just bring your own, like I made a bow out of bamboo and something home. We're not going to allow it on the field because now that would present a danger to the archers and to the operation that we are doing. So now that they got the 3 whistles, you'll see them go to retrieve. So those are some of the main safety things that we put in place. So in terms of our safety here in archery, It's all about education and compliance with the rules set forth by World Archery, and that has made the sport of target archery a safe one over the years. As we come to COVID now, you know that since I think March we have been on lockdown and so on, so we weren't able to practice during the initial part of the lockdown, but in June when we were allowed to come back out and start practicing, what we've done is we've implemented restrictions. So normally on a Saturday morning you will have anywhere between 12 to 20 archers shooting, and you'll have all the targets out on the field. So what we have done is reduce training to a maximum of 7 archers. Before it was 5 with a coach. Now we are allowed 10, but we have 7 archers, and that allows us to have the coaches here. Oh, and one of the other safety things you realize, although I am here observing the field, I have another coach on that side observing, so we always have that team body system working with us. So in terms of the COVID, at this moment we are restricted to 7 archers maximum on the field with the coaches. Right? And what we do is we have multiple sessions. So our first session will probably start at 7 o'clock. Then we have a next session starting a bit after 8, and then one after 9. So that way you're able to get the practice in without endangering yourself with the COVID. And what you'll also realize, unless an archer is your brother or sister and came from the same house with you, you'll notice that all the archers are on separate targets. Right? So everyone has that social distancing. Archery is one of those sports that lends itself very willingly to the concept of social distancing and being safe in the COVID-19 environment.
It's kind of something that comes.
It comes naturally, yes, coach. It comes very naturally with the sport.
All right. So, how long have you been involved with archery?
Let me see. Myself, I've been involved in archery for the past 9 years. I would have done it when I was away studying. I came back. As a scout, I would have been involved with doing archery, and then when we realized there was a need for the sport in Tobago, we worked together and we were able to establish the sport. So I have been involved in archery for 9 years. I've been a coach for the past 7 years, and during that time I've actually gotten to become a national judge, and I've headed out and actually completed several training courses. Right now I'm actually in the middle of a training course with the International World Archery Americas, where they are doing an elite coaching course through the use of through the use of Zoom and distance learning. So what we've had during the COVID time, the club hasn't really has not stagnated. We have had additional persons trained to be judges. We just had 4 of them be certified by World Archery Americas, and World Archery itself. We just had I myself am completing international elite coaching course with them. So that coaching course, once I've finished all the requirements for it, will qualify me to be a level 4. What you normally have in archery, start as a level 1, so you're working with somebody that just started, and as you go up in levels, you're more working with one-on-one with archers that are heading for regional games and aiming for Olympics and so on. So it increases your technical knowledge so that you can guide and help this archer be able to achieve their best.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, I'm absolutely thrilled to hear another Tobagonian actually looking for the opportunity to increase their knowledge and to become very certified in a sport that they're a part of, and a sport that I'm sure you love quite a lot.
Yes, sir.
Now, how is it you I mean, archery is not the first choice for many millions of people. How did you get involved in archery?
My first venture into archery would have been in relation to scouting. I am a scout leader, so I've been the scout leader of Goodwood Air Scouts. I've been the scout leader of St. Andrews Anglican Air Scouts, and I'm currently the district commissioner for Tobago West Scout District. And coming out of that, one of the things that scouts do in the outdoor activities, you know, we do the hiking, the camping and so forth. Archery is one of the sports that actually is on the list, and there's a badge for archery in scouting. So that would have been my first introduction to archery, would have been through scouting. And when we tried to do it, well, initially there was nothing that could be done for archery in Tobago. So we had no options. If you wanted archery at that time, you either had to go out of Trinidad and Tobago, or then at that point in time there was 1 or 2 clubs in Trinidad that you may be able to locate that would facilitate. Coming out of that, we worked with the National Federation in Trinidad, we were able to establish the club here in Tobago. And since then, we've actually been working with all the various scout groups. So during a non-COVID time, and as you can see, some of that archery discipline showing, as you can see behind me.
That's actually very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
During a non-COVID time, what we will have is the schools will bring their scouts to us at the field. And sometimes we'll have, I think the most I ever had was like 50 scouts on the field at one time. And they will be doing the requirements for their archery badge. So that's a badge that the scouts earn that we are able to certify them in. Also, when we started to do it with scouts, we realized, hey, this is an Olympic sport. It has a lot of potential for growth and so on in the sport. And at that time, we started to submit ourselves to competitions and so on, starting with in Trinidad. And we were quite successful. At this time, Tobago has, when was it? We gained our first, that was last year, we gained our first gold medal in an international archery championship. But even before that, thank you coach, even before that we were able to go down there and compete and always be first, second, third in that top 5 consistently. And we've even had this year with several records being broken. We have Antoinette, she would have started Kampung earlier. Actually, she started Kampung in December last year. And she would have gone to the National Indoor Championship in February. And she would have been part of the national team that would have shattered the previous female team Kampung records. And I can't recall the name of the second record she broke and would have been part of the team that did. But considering for that window in her being on the Kampung, it was an excellent achievement. Previous to Kampung, she would have been a recurve archer for several years. So it's not a magic you can just pick up and go and start doing it, but you have to put in the work, the effort, and the dedication to your sport to be able to get the results out of it.
Oh, well. As you all realize, the Tobago Precision Archery Club
yes, sir.
has done incredibly well over its time. And you can hear and see the final product of a lot of work being done since, what, is that 8 years ago?
Yeah, so I'm heading for that now, yes.
Right? No, I know the world of archery has its celebrities, if you will, or maybe top athletes. Is there any athlete, any archer that you've seen that you've watched and said, you know what, I like something about this individual. I really like. I like their approach. I like their confidence. Is there any archer that you specifically maybe have tried to emulate and try to learn a lot from?
In my case personally, unfortunately, what happened with me is that when I became more in an administrative role, I would have moved away from shooting myself. And I would have started, instead of looking at the archers myself, I would have started looking at, oh, I like how this administration is run.
So it changed.
Yeah, my perspective would have changed with that. So when I look at it now, I would look at the Korean team on a whole. Their approach to practice is totally different from what would be found normally locally. They don't, in their case, they train their athletes for success from go. In that a professional athlete in their team would not have to worry about basic needs being met. Their job is to train.
Okay,
And
so
they are allowed to do that.
True professionals in that.
True professionals. In Trinidad and Tobago, I think we have 2 persons, Danny Kazit and I can't remember her surname, but a young lady by the name of Amanda, that are fortunate enough to be in a circumstance to afford to do something like that at this time, in that they train. And even now they are ranked, they are nationally ranked, they are excellent as they go along. So it's something that we have to look at in terms of how we approach sport. We can't just always reactively say, hey, you did good, so let's reward that. We must provide the tools to allow the athletes to do their best and, well, hopefully still reward them when they actually accomplish what we set for them to do.
Alright, so Tobago, archery is here. Archery is here and archery is flourishing. We have an opportunity at this point in time to take archery and make it into something spectacular for the country of Trinidad and Tobago. Tobago Precision Archery Club They are here. They've been doing their work 8 years running. Very strong, very good, very good development taking place here. Very good discipline, as you can see. We are about sport here. In a few minutes, we'll come back and we'll discuss a little bit more about archery. At this time, we'd like Kate to demonstrate the different parts of the arrow for you. So Kate, if possible, let's retrieve an arrow. And we're going to go through the parts of the arrow. So you have, this is the whole arrow here. This part of the arrow will be called the arrow shaft. You have the pile or the point of the arrow down to the edge. Right? On this side, you have the fletchings, which help the arrows maintain the aerodynamic stability after fired. You'll notice that different types of arrows will have many varied types of fletching according to the use. And just to the end here is what we call a knock. So this is the part of the arrow that actually connects to the string. And if you look at the string here, there's a knock point in between these two brass knocks that the arrow would knock right in that space. So it's a consistent movement. Archery is all about consistency and accuracy, being able to repeat the same movement over and over to get the expected results. One of the things that you'll realize about the sport also is the clothing. In terms of clothing, we ask archers to wear well-fitted clothes, nothing loose, nothing baggy, but also the most important thing is that you're comfortable in what you're shooting in. We ask that people don't have anything hanging or so, because when you're drawing, I could just demonstrate like when you're going to draw. If you were to have earring dangling or anything that would be loose around you, what will happen is that the arrow string could get fouled in it, and then you'll put yourself in a slightly dangerous situation. So we always encourage archers not to have anything loose, anything hanging on them, but always wear clothing that is comfortable. Long sleeve, short sleeve is fine according to the environment where you're shooting in. And always wear sneakers. So whole toe shoes is very important, because if you're walking on the field, we want you to remain safe. So whole toe shoes is a mandatory. No slippers also would be allowed on an archery field. Right, one of the things that we always go through in a beginner's lesson also would be what we will say terminology. So it's mostly about learning, one, as I said, the safety of the sport, but then again learning about all the different tools and so on that you will actually utilize. So like Katen has in her hand, what's the name of this tool? Right, so she has the finger tab in her hand, and the finger tab is there to help her hold the string. So if you realize here, the string, when you're drawing that in a competition, after a while it can start wearing on your hand. So this is to help protect her fingers from being hurt while drawing the string. Right, so this one is a special one that was measured and designed for her. And we also have something that we call finger savers, which you can see on some of the bows on this side. This does pretty much the same job as the finger tab, right? So it protects your fingers from any injury or from that wear and tear. Okay, go ahead and shoot this end. Try and shoot one arrow a bit high for me. I want to demonstrate the safe way to retrieve. Yeah. One of the things we would have spoke about a couple times but wasn't explained would have been the end. The end is a terminology that we utilize in the sport. As I said before, it's something, the amount of arrows that you shoot before going to retrieve your arrows. So if you're shooting an indoor distance, meaning 18 meters or so, you'll normally shoot a 3-arrow end. If you're shooting longer distances, meaning that you're shooting 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, or even 90 meters, you'll shoot 6-arrow ends. That way you don't have to be back and forth as much. So normally in a normal competition for archery on the Olympic level, we shoot 72 arrows for what we call a ranking rung. So when you do a ranking for archery, you shoot 72 arrows, and you shoot that in 2 sets of 36. So basically you have one rung of 36 arrows, using either 3-arrow end or 6-arrow end. And then once you finish that 36, you have a break in between, maybe 15 to half an hour break. And then you go into the second rung. And once you finish that, you're done what we call a ranking rung or competition rung.
Right, so every so often we'll have the archer that will shoot an arrow that may have been too high or went out of bounds for them to be able to retrieve. Now, if you were to try to retrieve the arrow in the normal way, you could demonstrate it first so without actually pulling it. Let's demonstrate the normal way first, please. No, the normal way first. What will happen if you try to remove this arrow at that height for her reference, you will actually damage the arrow by bending the arrow. So what we encourage them to do is that you put your back flat against the target, both hands above, excellent, and retrieve. And try and extract the arrow from the target at this time. It's not always as easy. Go ahead, I'll help you. Getting the arrow out may not always be as easy as it looks. And that's one of the reasons we always make sure and tell the archers, make sure the area is clear, because if you retrieve an arrow and it was to come out suddenly and someone was there, it would be a situation we want to avoid. You have one behind? Alright, let's see if we can find it.
You can start.
So in this case, she will retrieve the arrows by pulling it directly backwards out of the space that it went into. The reason for that is being if you were to pull it upwards or from a haphazard angle, you could potentially break the arrow, which are very expensive. So you'll realize at the moment we have one recurve and two kampung archers on the field. I'd like to take you across to one of the kampung archers. And if you look up at the target faces, you'll realize that the target face for recurve and for kampung will be significantly different. And the reason for that is the Kampung Bow has a natural advantage to the recurve bow in terms of its accuracy. So with the recurve, when you have a wider grouping or a less likely chance of being that accurate, because at the moment Caitlin is shooting on an 80 centimeter target and Mr. Gibbs is shooting on a 40 centimeters 3-spot target, meaning to say that each one of those spots is about 10 centimeters to the center. And if we walk up and observe, you'll see that all his arrows would probably be in the yellow. Reason for that being the kampung would have the scope on it, one. So what we do is put them on targets like this by themselves, because what will also happen is that if you were to put Mr. Gibbs on a normal target, he would essentially what we call Robin Hood his own arrows. Meaning to say, if you were to have all three of these arrows in this one space, then you have a high likelihood that the arrows will hurt or damage each other. So that's why we separate them like this, so that he's able to hit the target safely in the yellow each time without the potential of damaging his own arrows. And another thing I'll draw your attention to is the actual penetrating power of the Kampung Bow, which is significant, and that is as a result of the let-off system that I would have spoke about earlier. So a Kampung Bow is able to have a much higher poundage or shooting strength than a recurve bow. Right, you adjusted this side. Alright, good. Let's see what happens. Remember, keep your follow through. Good. Let's see where the next one goes. That one went slightly low to your right. Okay. So this time I want you to aim half an inch above where you were the last time. Rotate. Good. Okay, too much. Give me one more. As you're not dropping off. Yeah. Got some damage on it. See damage. Could probably fix it back at a little heat. You didn't know that?
No. I just know it was slipping off.
Yeah. You probably shoot it or something. But we gotta check it after. You can go ahead with it if you want, huh? Righty. Anna.
Join us this and every Friday on Tobago Sports Live Facebook page for the TSL Weekly Roundup, where hosts Kami and interview persons in the sporting arena right here in Tobago, bringing live updates to you on sporting events on the island and interacting with the public. Remember, this and every Friday, live on Tobago Sports Live at 8 p.m. Tobago Sports Live, evolving sports in Tobago.
And welcome back to Tobago Sport in Focus. With me, Miss Antoinette Lewis,
Yes.
one of the rising stars of archery in Trinidad and Tobago. I will
Yes,
say
that's correct.
Trinidad and Tobago. Miss Lewis, how are you today?
So I'm very well. Good evening, everyone. Good day, everyone. So my name is Antoinette Lewis. I'm a national archer, and I'm a national coach and an upcoming judge, hopefully.
All right. So, archery. What made you get interested in archery? Of all the sports, I ask this all the time. Of all the sports, archery, you took to it. How did that start? Where did that start? That love for archery start?
Okay, so I joined archery back in 2016, and I was involved in scouts, so I learned archery through scouts. And I was able to like train and get more involved and be more competitive in the sport of archery.
All right. And how long have you been involved in archery? How long have you been involved in archery?
So I've been involved in archery for about 4 years now.
Okay, for 4
Yes,
years.
so 4 years, and I've been training for this moment to maybe go to the Olympics,
All right.
that national stage, the international stage, I mean. Yeah.
Good. That's very good. I'm very proud of you for that. Take us through the levels that you've competed in archery to get to where you are right now.
Okay, so in Tobago, in our club, we have like cube and shoot. The first one I took part in, and I was able to come first in my category for the Tobago one. After I went national, and I started to go up and after this year I was able to break records with the help of my teammates, national teammates, and do well. Even in my shoot, they haven't bring up the records or the scores should have got as yet. I don't know why I've come as yet, but hopefully by next year I'll be able to see if I come first internationally or so forth.
Right. And what records did you break? I heard you talk about your records, and I heard Coach Welch talk about
All right,
your
so
records. So what records did
I would
you
have broken the national records in both Trinidad and Tobago. So you have the highest record right now. Me and my teammates.
Okay, all right, and that's well done. Congratulations. And
Thank you.
I told Coach Welch already, congratulations. You'll have been doing a good job. Okay, so I'm hearing you talking about the Olympics. I dreamt to go to the Olympics. I didn't get there. Do you think what if you got to the Olympics? What do you think would be how you think you'd feel? How you think your teammates would feel? I mean, the archery society. I know it's not a large society, so let's say with cricket and whatnot. But what do you think something like that would mean to archery, the Tobago Precision Archery Club and archery in general across Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, it's probably be a big accomplishment because be able to go international and so forth. Of course, you'll be a bit nervous and scared the first time. I don't know if you'll be able to come first on our first try, but I think we'll be able to leave an impression for the upcoming generation and other people who is willing to do archery.
Right.
Yes.
And in terms of archers, I like to find out which archer do you look towards? Or who do you look towards as somebody you try to emulate? I don't know, it's maybe the charisma, maybe their confidence, their stability when holding the bow. I mean, who do you look towards, or are you one of those persons that look at all archers and say, you know what, I'd like to take something from this one, I'd like to take something from that one?
Right, so I'm the latter. I like to take from persons because I think that when you explore the options, you'll be able to improve more significantly.
Right.
Of course, I watched one woman and I saw how she was able to like shoot and get accuracy. So I look forward to one woman. I look up to her, I should say. Right, so that's it.
Do you know the person's name off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head, but I know it's one woman.
Alright, do you know like what country they came from? Because I know Coach Wells spoke about him looking at the Koreans administratively and how they proceed with the development of the organization and development of archery and that kind of stuff. Is the person from a specific country?
I don't think they're from the Asian continent, maybe from Europe or North America.
Alright, so where do you see yourself in maybe the next 5 years or next 10 years as it pertains to archery? Are you going to continue competing at the highest level as best as possible, or are you going to look at the opportunity of maybe getting involved in coaching a little bit more, or even the administrative side a little bit more?
Alright, so I actually do both. I'm trying to stabilize both the administrative and also being competitive.
Right.
In 5 years, I should say, I see myself on a global stage, hopefully competing, making my parents and this club proud. So yeah.
Oh, that's very good. And last question, how many times a week do you train, and did you, actually maybe two questions, did you take part in any other sport outside of archery prior to archery, and how many times a week do you train, regular training, and then when it comes to competition, does that increase?
Alright, so because of the whole COVID-19, I have been reduced to 2 days a week.
Right.
So I come, that's Wednesdays and Saturdays, and I come and train. The sport I would have taken part in other than archery is golf. In my earlier days, I've been taking part in the sports camp and also outside of that in other clubs. And yeah, that's good.
And golf, I'm trying to mirror golf and archery a little bit. How did golf help you with archery? Was there anything that within the game of golf, maybe the fact that you have to hold the golf club steady and whatnot, is there anything within the game of golf that you think played a critical part in your increased ability to do archery?
Yes, of course, because when you're doing golf, you have to have patience in order to hit it into the thing on the ground. So I have to be able to hold this for a while and actually think about how I got to aim.
Right.
And as in archery, you have to aim towards the target and be able to hit for the yellow. That's the X or this yellow part on the target board there.
Well, Ms. Lewis, thank you very much for the interview, and I do wish you continued success. And we here at Tobago Sports Live and Tobago Sport in Focus will be patiently looking forward to your continued success in the future.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. You got to hear from Ms. Antoinette Lewis, Tobago archer, national competitor, record setter, and she's continuing her progress with archery right here at Jubilee Park. Bright Saturday morning, thankful for the sunshine. And you got to hear that she took part in multiple sports. She took part in golf as well, which very much helped with the fact that there are some things very similar to golf as with archery. In a few minutes, we come back, another interview. Stay tuned, Tobago Sport in Focus.
This,
Good, Kate. Keep the follow through. Alright, Mr. Gibbs, you want to just come and talk about scoring, so you're going to Kate and then we'll come to you. So don't retrieve us yet, please. Okay. Right, so now we're going to talk about the part of it that is the most exciting. We're going to talk about scoring in archery. So on the 80 centimeter target face, there are 10 concentric rings. And as you can see, the rings go from white, black, blue, red, and yellow to the center. And the scores go from that order, with white being 1 and 2, black being 3 and 4, and blue being 5, 6, yellow 7, 8, and the center is 9 and 10. And there is also an additional ring to the center of the 10, which is the 10x or dead bullseye, which is marked, which has a slightly better. So if you're in a competition and then you had a person with an equal score, the person with the most 10s, X's would have the advantage in that tournament. So Caitlin, can you retrieve and score for us? You can just call the scores as you're going on. Alright, so her score in this one will be 6 and 2 8s. And let's go over to one of the 40 centimeter targets. So as you can see with these two targets, they're a bit different but a lot the same. This one is a 40 centimeters, a miniature version of the 80 that you would have just seen, so they have the same scoring zones as the other one. But this is also a target, which is, so this target, sorry, would be used for recurve indoor faces, right? And we'll also have some compound shooting on it. But because of the issue I just spoke about, compound archers potentially damaging the arrows, if all of the arrows were to go in this center, we'll put them to shoot on a target like this or a traffic light target with the 3 separated spots. So as you can see with this target, it does not have the white or the black. So basically the scores on this will go from, what is it, what is this, 6? Right, so 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 in the center. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It does not have 5. Anything outside of that would count as a miss in terms of the scores for compound archer. So I'm going to let Mr. Gibbs retrieve, and he can call his score so as he goes. Alright, so 2 8s. What did you say? 2 8s, right? 1 8, good. 1 8 and 2 9s. Again, with the compound target, if you look at the center, you will see the X, which is 10x in that case. So it's possible to get 10, which is the center, and then get 10x, which again counts as a better score when assessing it for a tournament or competition. The goal of the sport is to get as many yellows, 9, 10, 10x as you possibly can, and to be better than the person next to you. Alright, no scene. Alright. Something about your clothes in front keeps it impossible to arrow them. I don't think it's that, but let's see. I will look and see if I can see it. Relax your shoulder in front, rotate. Then so watch me. You're bringing this a little higher, relax it. Can remember we talked about scooping ice cream before? Alright, try to scoop. Take your time. That's it. Right? So scoop ice cream. Good job.
Welcome back to Tobago Sport in Focus. We're here with the Tobago Precision Archery Club, and with me we have Miss Antoinette Lewis. Miss Lewis, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great.
Are you the sister of Antoinette?
Yes, sir.
Well, I see it runs in the family. How old are you?
I'm 11 years old. I'm turning 12 in a few months.
Okay. And how long have you been taking part in archery?
I've been taking part in archery for about 4 going to 5 years. It's been quite a while.
All right. And from what I realize, you absolutely enjoy archery.
Yes, I do.
Now, why did you choose archery of all the sports all across the country, all across the world? You took to archery. Why archery?
Well, I was looking for a sport that I would enjoy and at the same time feel comfortable with. And with my sister being in archery, I was like, okay, I can do this as well. And going into archery, I found that I actually had a passion for it.
Right.
So I continued improving and getting better at it.
Right. And have you been practicing with your sister quite a lot from since then?
Yes, sir.
So she showed you a few tricks of the trade, and you've essentially picked up from where she is, and you're where you are now.
Yes, we both support each other.
Right. So in national competition, I know you've taken part in national competition.
Yes, sir.
How have you done in these competitions?
Well, at the beginning, I was now easing up. I wasn't placing first yet,
Right.
but having more experience and going to multiple competitions made me feel better. And at that time, I started to get goals. I started to come first.
Right.
And I just started to believe that I can do it, and I did.
All right, well, very good. That's something that I think a lot of our young people should understand, that you need to actually be confident in your ability. You try something once, it doesn't happen. You try it again, and you try it again, and then you become comfortable, and then we get to the point that you have gotten to.
Yes.
What was your last tournament?
My last tournament, because of the COVID-19 and everything, was actually last year. I'm now prepping for our next one, but last tournament I placed it first in rankings and second in the elimination.
Right.
I was very close to first, but I did enjoy it.
Right.
It was a national competition and we did very well in it.
Very good, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, belated congratulations, I should say. Alright, so have you taken part in any other sport other than archery? It could be badminton. I know your sister said she played golf. Any other sport other than archery in your lifetime?
Well, the other sports I've played, it wasn't very serious. It was more like for fun and just for trying it out. In school, we used to go on swimming trips at the YMCA to get training, and I'm also kind of fond of basketball, but I haven't really done it a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Alright, so you took part in swimming and maybe a bit of basketball. Alright, so did any of those things actually, to your best ability of describing, did any of these things help you in archery, or they made it a little bit more difficult or complicated to take part in archery? How do you think?
I would say it helps me a lot.
Right.
It made me realize that I am good in sports, and with enough determination I can actually do good. and it made me build my coordination and everything. So yeah.
All right. Oh, very good. That's something I think a lot of young people
Yes.
probably need to understand, that it's not, you don't play one sport, you can do multiple sports,
Variety.
and those multiple sports will help you holistically.
Yes.
All right. So where do you see yourself in maybe 5 years or 10 years with archery? I know you're competing nationally, and I know you'd like to step up another level, but is it just that you'd like to step up another level as a coach or as a player or in the administrative field? And well, you're young, so the administrative field maybe not. But where do you see yourself in maybe the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I actually see myself going to many international tournaments and actually prepping for the Olympics, just as my sister.
Right.
And I'm already a coach, actually, a national coach.
Right. Okay.
So yeah.
A national coach at 11 going on to 12.
Yes.
Tobago, did you hear that? We have a national coach, recognized coach in a nationally recognized sport at age 11. The possibilities are endless. Do not handcuff yourself. That's very good. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
All right, so last couple of questions. I know over the world of archery there are a lot of archers. Okay? And I know there are, sometimes there's one archer that you look up to, or there's a group of archers that you look and you try to take pieces. Are you the kind of person that will look at one person and say, okay, I really like this person's style, their play, their charisma, the confidence, or do you look to take pieces from maybe Coach Welch and your sister and whatnot to try to make a complete Anthurium list?
Yes, well, I try to be mostly of myself, but yes, I listen to my coach, that is demanding, and also I look up to my sister.
Okay.
She is a very role model for me.
Right.
And also, yes, I do look at some of the other archers, but mostly my sister.
All right, oh, that's good. And second to last question, which school do you currently attend? Which school you attended previous, and which school do you currently attend?
I attended St. Andrew's Anglican Primary School, and I'm currently attending Bishop's High School.
All right, and last question, is there anything you would like to say to the Tobago public concerning being an archer, what it's done for you, how it's helped you, and why persons should consider archery as a sport for them?
Yes, I would like to say don't give up, keep pushing towards everything you have to do, and I would say come join archery because it helps you a lot in different things in your life. It helps you to focus more, it helps you to gain a competitive but still friendly lifestyle, and it helps you to build courage. So come join archery.
All right, Anthurium, thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you for
have to
having
get
me.
to practice. We'll let you get to practice. Good luck with everything, and we'll
Thank you.
definitely be keeping tabs on you here on Tobago Sport in Focus.
Yes, thank you very much for having me.
And welcome back to Tobago Sport in Focus. So today we took a look at the world of archery. The Tobago Precision Archery Club trains at the Jubilee Park right here in Scarborough. Saturday mornings they have their sessions. They've been doing a lot of work, a lot of credible work, a lot of fantastic work building archery here in Tobago. National competitions, national champions, record breakers, coaches, one of the youngest coaches I know on the island. Fantastic job by the Tobago Precision Archery Club in building archery here. Come next week, we will be taking care of another sport and other sports and more sports right here on the island of Tobago. We have it here. It's happening in Tobago. Sport is here. Tobago Sport in Focus. See you next time.